Just check it out for yourself. Follow me.
Hey, what's up, guys? Ray with Bearding Without Borders. I have Mr. Jeremiah Duncan from the local Villains chapter here. I can't even. What is the actual
Bearded
name?
Villains, Kentucky.
Just Bearded Villains, Kentucky.
Yep.
No cool name? Like
not fancy. No, we're old school.
Old school. Okay,
Yeah.
Just keep it straight across the board. So, with that being said, we are going to go ahead and do our fun beard fact. I'm actually going to tie it to the villains today, guys, and I'm not even going to worry about the fun beard fact because Andrew messed it up on the last run. So ha ha ha! It's on you, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew.
Jeez. So
you're fired.
You fired. You fired. You hear that? You're
fired.
That's from Jeremiah himself. So everybody, when they think of villains, especially in the mainstream world, they think of the old school, like tying a girl to the train tracks.
Yes.
That's where my mind comes from. Cartoons, stuff like that. And so, the twirling mustache and whatnot. I actually don't have my mustache up today. But
Bugs Bunny mobsters.
Yes. Yosemite Sam, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So did you know that the origin of where villain and the villainous mustache all came synonymous together was actually back in the early 1900s through the original Nickelodeons or movies, old silent films, and vaudeville.
Of course.
So
a lot of good stuff came out of vaudeville.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of bad stuff came out of vaudeville too, but we won't go into that. So
that's another episode.
Yeah. That is an After Dark episode.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. But yeah, so the actual whole stint from villains having beards or like mustaches, or even if you want to go to the tie-ins to foreign bad guys and stuff like that in the early America and in the early times of America, when it's all tied to the silent films and vaudeville. And so it just over time it gradually became synonymous for what a villain is. And it's like, if you really want to get into the origin of what villain actually means that's a whole different ball game. That actually ties back to early startings of the Christianity. I don't know if you know about that or not. Long story short, basically, just
do tell.
So long story short, the original word for villain actually was derived from villages or villa.
Makes sense.
And when the Christian church was trying to weed out pagan religion, they needed to ostracize it. They needed to.
They didn't want to let everybody know they copied and pasted.
Right, but they didn't want people to. They wanted these old outlier villages that were still stuck in the old ways. They needed a way to kind of push them out. It's actually where the term heathen comes from as well.
Makes sense.
That's just more. That was more of a Germanic, like Northern Europe, so on and so forth. Term.
We have the Christmas tree now. You no longer have it. It's ours.
No, it's mine. Can't have my Christmas tree. Can't have my Yule log.
Yes.
So, but but the whole term for villain came out derived from the word village or villa, and then just tied to that, and it basically meant a non-Christian folk from a pagan or druidic village. So
learn something new every day. I did not know that.
I'm a big proponent for history. So
I support that. Yes.
So today's episode, guys, is we're going to talk about the life of a villain, not to be confused with The Heart of a Villain, which is a villain podcast.
Shout out to BP.
Big shout out to BP. I'm gonna try and actually broker a relationship with them, because I'd love to get on his show. I'd love him to come on mine, and we can kind of collaborate. Because one of the things I wanted to do, and it's something me and Jeremiah have been talking about for a while now, about bridging the gap between the villain community and other clubs, other chapters, not only across Kentucky, but across the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
kind of bringing us a little bit closer together. So we're going to talk about Jeremiah's history with the Villains and how he kind of got in there. So we're going to kind of kick this back old school today. So first and foremost, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much.
So we're actually shooting in the old Oddfellows Lodge today, which the room looks somewhat familiar. It's because it's actually where I did Taxi Phil's interview as well. But first thing I wanted to ask you is, how did you get into the bearded community?
So I've always had some form of beard. Fun fact, I went to a private school and you were not allowed to have facial hair at all. So, of course, me being hairy as I am,
You damn gorilla.
yes, you should see my back. But like, I would.
That's another episode.
After dark. Yes, but they would literally, if I didn't shave that morning and I would go to school, they would hand me a razor and Barbasol. Like they were that strict about facial hair.
Wow.
So, not to go too far back on you, but I guess it was my freshman year. Yes, my freshman year. I was actually on the golf team in high school, and of course, you play in the summer, so it's not school time. So I show up to the first practice, and I've got a little goatee going on. They say, "You can't have that. I'm not in school. It's summer." Well, you represent the school. I'm like, I'm not shaving. Like this is summertime.
Right.
They're like, no, you got to shave. So I quit the golf team over facial hair. So that is what started the rebellious facial hair that you see. So then on top of that, fast forward a few years, I think I'm in my 20s. I used to just have like a little chin strap thing going on, little Abe Lincoln, thing going on. It was wider though. It was maybe about 1.5 inches wide going all the way across. Didn't have anything on the lip. A mini whaler, I guess you could say, because I do, it was just like right here, but it was.
See, we support whalers on the show, even though I make fun of y'all. So
I can't do it. You don't want to see this upper lip.
No.
But I would have that, and like I'd probably keep it like maybe a 2 or 3 guard, so it was always nicely tight on my face and stuff. Well, flubbed up one time trying to shave and fucked it up and had to shave everything off. I have multiple ex-wives, I know. But ex-wife number 1 actually pulls up to the driveway. I'm out there mowing, and I'm like, hey, welcome home. And she saw my barren face and began to cry. So that from that point on, I knew that this face could no longer be bare. And so I went back to that, then ended up going to, the mustache. But shout out to Nikolai from our chapter, because he kept busting my ass about me shaving, because I would shave all the way down to here.
Yep.
And even though like my hair grows like pretty high up, but it's real straggly up here. But he was like, dude, let your cheeks grow in, and like, so it's been amazing, that journey though, because from that point to now, just little tricks of the trade as far as like, I don't shave. Like, I was like all the way down to here, and I would lose all this. And, not to mention this, used to shave under here. This one was a big one to be able to get girth, and things like that.
I actually have the same problem. I used to shave down. You can still see some of the line marks. So I'm actually trying to grow mine back.
It's so weird because like I've got like a pretty decent line here, but it's pretty close to where my natural line is. But I like to kind of look nice. But just even moving that up like 1 inch was like a game changer. I'm like just trying to get this to fill in, and but when especially this. Yeah. I was blown away by how much it changed just leaving.
Oh yeah, just leaving that bottom part.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For fullness look.
Yeah.
It changes it.
That's kind of my beard journey. But as far as getting into the beard community, so I started to grow my beard out. This was probably like 2016. I'm like, I'm going to see what it's going to do. And ex-wife number 2 was actually, there won't be a third one, just heads up.
He's a collector, but he's still novice. So
Yes. Yeah. But ex-wife number 2 was really big into essential oils, and so she'd have all these oils around the house and stuff like that. And you like history and stuff. I love alchemy. So I love the old school alchemy stuff. I love mixing things together and stuff. So I'm like, you know what? gonna feel like an alchemist here. I'm gonna mix up a couple different oils, and I started to put some oils in there and kind of make my own beard oils. Actually ended up getting like a double broiler, started making my own beard balms and things like that.
Okay.
And actually had a beard company for a while. I had a company called Hiram Grooming Company.
Okay.
And it was all Masonic themed.
Yeah.
Everything was vegan, cruelty free. I didn't use beeswax. I actually used Candelia wax.
Oh, okay.
It was plant based. So it was like had a really good hard hold to it. You could even use it kind of in your mustache too. Not quite hard enough to hold the stash up, but you know, it's thicker than most of your balms. So I got into making that and started setting up. But actually, the first event that, well, I don't know if it was the first one. It was one of the first events that I set up at was Tidal Beard.
Oh, for Furby.
Yeah, for Furby. I set up at Austin City and had a booth there and was like selling some stuff. And that was not me. I did not fart. That was a motorcycle going by. Like I'm actually some of the bearded villains from Bearded Villains Kentucky were there. And ended up talking to them and met them, and we just kind of connected, and so that's kind of how I got into BV. You know.
So you had your own beer. Like I'm guessing you shut it down. Or?
So it got yes. I mean it was like a full on like LLC and everything. Like I was really trying to push it, but as busy as I am now, I was that busy back then. I'm a busy man.
He really is. If you guys only knew how long we've been trying to get this together,
yeah,
it would blow your mind.
To give you a snippet of my daily life now, like I work full time at Toyota Motor Manufacturing, building. I'm in management there, building vehicle. I'm in engine assembly. But I do that full time. Of course, those like 12-hour days.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a screen printing business on the side that I do in the evenings. I've got 2 boys. I've got a girlfriend. I've got actually a clothing brand that I do as well that I try to push. And I also play in a band. So
yeah, and we'll get into clothing brand and the band towards the end of this one because I actually went and listened to Small Steps earlier. So.
Thank you.
I followed you.
Well,
I followed you on Spotify, so I joined the following.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So anyway, yes, that company is defunct now because we all know, anybody that's in the bearding community, how oversaturated that market is with beard oil.
It really is, yeah.
And I was trying to do something different with having it all Masonic themed because I'm like, I'm going to plug into my fraternity brothers. And it did. Like, actually, you could go to, there's a publishing company called McCoy that literally publishes all Masonic books. Like anything like from the past, present, and future, they're like the publisher. They had a bookstore. They carried my stuff. I mean, like, so I was in, you know, and I had barbershops carrying it and stuff like that. But the problem with it is, as you know, if you are doing a beard care company, you literally just have to push. And it's like that with any company, but
it's the same way
specifically. Oh, I'm sure. But it's especially with like, vape's probably oversaturated too, as far as like fluids and things like that.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, I was in the industry for 8 years and I had a company as well at one time, but and this was back in the Wild West days. This is back when, you know, there was no FDA getting involved or anything like that.
Damn government.
And but when it got to that point, you know, we had moved over to a white label, so we had started co-packing. Yeah. But trying to keep up with the market, like if you didn't have $50,000-$60,000 to dump in just into marketing, you're not going to keep up.
No, and that's like I was going to trade shows as far as like DC, setting up, selling, get my name out there, and like I said, barbershops were carrying it and stuff like that. But it would pay for my trips, it would pay for the hotel, pay for the gas, it'd pay for everything, pay for itself to make more oil. Like, so, I mean, it was keeping itself going, but the amount of time that I had to invest, like I wasn't being able to pay myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, sure, I'd get food for free and I get to stay for free, but I mean,
but at the end of the day, you can't pay your electric.
I want money, you know, like,
right.
I mean, not that money's everything, but I mean, it's nice to be able to pay some stuff.
I mean, money makes the world go round. You know?
It is. So I started to get into screen printing, and then I'm like, oh shit, this actually makes me money. and like pays for my mortgage and does these things, you know. So it's like I can't. I've already got enough irons in the fire, you know. So it's like
Something had to give.
I'm gonna have to bury this, which is a shame. Like I mean, because I loved doing it and I like loved the sense that I had and all these
Right.
things and stuff like that. But and had like pretty good following, so a lot of people that were using it were bummed. But I mean, there's a ton of oils out there. There's a ton. So yeah.
But I mean, that's one of those things. Like you kind of got into it. You had a little bit of success with it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to put things down
Yeah.
and move away from it.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that. And so this happened right around the time that you started going into the villains.
So well, I laid it to rest after I'd already been in the villains.
Okay.
So because I was like, oh, this will be cool too. Because I mean, granted, I was in it for like the brotherhood and those type
Right.
of things, but of course, in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh hell yeah, these guys are gonna buy some, and I sold some, but it's not like they're not paying my bills. I mean, because you know how it is. Like some everybody's loyal to a certain brand most of the time, where they love this certain scent or, and all of us, I guarantee all of us have about 7 or 8 different oils at our house, if not more.
I've got a few.
Yeah. I've got a shelf. I think like my girlfriend gets on to me. She was like, you have more product for your beard than I do for my hair.
The 2 companies that I have the most of is Mad Viking and Honest Amish. And big shout out to Aaron with Honest Amish. He always takes care of me. And their products are always good. They've been trying to get me to try the bar soap, and I've not tried that yet. But
I use Gibbs grooming, so
Gibbs?
I'm actually an ambassador for Gibbs.
Oh, okay.
So, and honestly, I'd use their stuff even if I wasn't an ambassador. But
Right.
getting the free stuff's pretty nice. But I like them though, and they were when I started using them, I was actually still had my company, and their oil's a lot thicker than like other companies' oils, and I just loved it because it felt like it stayed in my beard.
You have a thick beard too,
Yeah.
so that would make sense.
Yeah.
That's the reason I like Mad Viking. Is like my beard's not as thick as yours.
Yeah.
It's a little bit thinner, but the scent stays with me all day.
Yeah.
So the beard oil I use Valhalla. It's my
Mhm.
favorite.
Yeah.
Same
They've
with,
got good stuff.
and I use their beard butters a lot for shaving and whatnot. So
And Gibbs has, like my hair products all Gibbs, like beards all Gibbs, my shampoo, conditioner,
my hair product is Boston Scully.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
Cool cat. Thank you. Remember, guys, I'm just going to do my own shameless plug here. 15% off at bostonscully.com. Bearded Rook. And they actually just released a version of this hat with ear flaps for the winter wear for more of you up north folks that have to deal with 15,000 feet of snow.
Nice.
Forget that.
Like furry?
It's got a little bit of a liner on the inside. It's actually really nice. I saw them when I actually visited Boston Scully in October of this past year when we were up in the Boston area, and I got to see some of the new hats coming out. I'm super excited about St. Patty's. Can't give details, but it's a badass hat.
That's cool.
But I saw the one with the flap with the ear flaps, and it's actually it was a little. I was like, "How's that going to work?" But it folds in, and it doesn't take away from it doesn't feel bulky on your head. So it's actually really unique design.
Huh.
So
I don't think I could pull one of those off.
Oh, you might.
More of a ball cap.
No, you can keep the ball caps. My head is too fat for a ball cap. So
snapback. Even too big for the snapback?
I don't like it. I just I look weird in I look
put the
weird
extension on it.
It's either a beanie or a Scully for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So getting back into that with the villain
Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's the great part about this is we're here to tell your story.
No. Oh, yeah.
And I want the conversation to feel as natural as possible.
Yeah.
And that's it. This is really just us having a conversation.
Well, and I literally could talk for hours. So you're.
I know that. So, but going into that, so you've been with the villains now for right around 5 years because you joined the community. It sounds like right around the same time that I did. And I know that you said that you met with him at Tittlebeard and it just kind of built that relationship from there. So what was the driving factor past just, oh, hey, these are cool guys. Like,
Yeah.
was there something else that kind of came with that?
I mean, to me, like the things that they were talking about. So I had actually, I'm a Freemason, so
Yes.
I was actually part of a Masonic lodge before I even joined BV.
Right.
So the reason I joined the Masonic lodge was for the brotherhood and the history, how deep the history is. I'm sure, like
Yeah.
we were talking before the show about the Oddfellows, like how
Yeah.
deep the history is, not even just like locally, but like globally, and that just was like awesome to me. And then, and I'm sure it's the same way with Oddfellows and Mad Viking and all the other clubs that are a little bit bigger. Like, there's people all over the world, so
Oh, yeah.
it's like it's super cool to
have
be
that
like,
connection.
oh yeah, and be like, hey, I'm gonna go visit, I don't know, Virginia Beach. Oh, there's dudes there. All right, cool. Let's say, hey, you guys want to meet up? Yeah, sure. And just being able to do that is just fascinating to me. And so because to be honest, I didn't even know, like, I was just making beard oil and stuff.
Right.
Like, I didn't know that bearding was as big as it was when I first got introduced. Like, most people, like, when they're like, oh, what are you doing next week? Oh, I'm going to a beard competition.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think people realize, like, I mean, that's what's awesome about this community, about like how big it is. And so I was like, once I started doing research about BV, I'm like, holy shit. Like, they're like international, and like, I'm like, this is almost like a mini Masonic lodge, because it's like they got the brotherhood, they've got all these chapters everywhere and stuff.
I get the same feel.
Yeah.
Like from the beard community, like these clubs and whatnot, they all kind of, we're all in this, for the camaraderie and the family aspect of it, but but it's really cool that you can get out there and get involved in the community with it as well. So very similar to like the Oddfellows and the Masonic. Like, so I totally get where you're going with that. As for the Villains, like, you've been with the Villains now 5 years. You're the captain. This is your third year as captain.
I think it's third year captain for
BWB. Yeah, for the Kentucky Bearded Villains. And I've had the opportunity and the privilege to go around with you guys, a little bit here and there as I catch out to your events. Like, I came to your event randomly this last event you guys had to support for the flood victims out in Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah.
And I took third, even though I didn't actually get to compete. I'm still kind of laughing about that.
Yeah. He showed up late, but we still had I think only 2 people competed in that
Only
category.
2 people competed.
And then he showed up, and we're like, hey, we already paid money for this stuff. So here, you got third.
I just thought it was because I looked that damn good. My excuse.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, sorry guys, I'm late because I was officiating a wedding.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you showed up and you were sexy, so it worked out.
I mean, hey, it happens. But with the community, like, and we talked about this quite a bit before we even went live. Before we went live today, is that the way the community works is like all these clubs kind of try to converge and work together to build for a better community. But one of the things that I've noticed with the Villains is you guys are a very tight-knit group, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I don't see a lot of activity outside of your own events.
That is true.
And my question, and it's been a question that it's been eating at me for 5 years, is why?
Yeah.
Like, why is it that the Villains, I mean, like, I get staying close to your own and stuff like that, but it does, and I mentioned this to you before, and I mean no ill will towards any villain, because like the villains that I've had the honor and the privilege to have conversations with have become friends, and they, I absolutely adore, like, Smoky Mountain Villains, Chattanooga Villains. Those guys are near and dear to my heart. They're great people. They've got their event coming up next weekend.
Next weekend. Yeah. I'll be there. Come hang out, say hi.
If you guys have not made it out to one of their events, definitely do so.
Yeah, always. They raise so much money for charity; it's outrageous. I mean, they do awesome work down there.
They really do, and I'm sad that I've missed it the last 2 years. So it's on my calendar for next year.
I think they'll have Knox Villains in June.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And that one's so fun because I go every year. There's the hotel. And that's where the event is. So you get to just meander upstairs after you've had too much to drink, or you can cross the street and go to like the main square of Knoxville. And I absolutely love Knoxville.
Is that an old town or?
It's an older town, but
no, I'm talking about like the old town, old side of Knoxville.
To where it's like all like bricks and there's just like these restaurants and oh man, it's a cool town.
See, I'm originally from Dayton, Tennessee.
Okay.
Which is about 30 minutes north of Chattanooga and about an hour south of Knoxville.
Yeah.
So,
I've actually been there.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I had to go to a vendor for Toyota there one time.
Oh, man. My apologies.
Yeah. No, they suck.
Yeah. Shout out to my hometown.
Yeah. The vendor sucks, not the hometown.
Yeah. Oh God, was that Goodman?
No.
It's just like I'm thinking back like to all the factories and stuff I've worked at in my hometown. But so I'm very familiar with Knoxville. I'm very familiar with like the chapters down there, and it's really cool to see like the different parts of Tennessee and different parts of Kentucky like working together. Like around here, it's Mad Viking, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. It's Derby City, of course, in Louisville. Big shout out to those guys. We got Slugger City Villains up in Louisville area. We've got BVKY, and we got Beard and Loathing out of Richmond. And we all try to help each other and try to get involved with what's going on in our own worlds and our own clubs. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that I can say is that we've always tried to stay as little tight knit as we can. Yeah. But the community does feel a little separated. The Bearded Villain community versus just the bearded community. And you guys are definitely a part of that community, but absolutely. You guys kind of stand off to the side a little bit. And I've
talking about in general? Just in general. Not in Kentucky.
No, not in Kentucky. Like, we're pretty good about it here. But, like, in general, just from what I've seen around.
I don't know this for a fact, but stepping back and looking at it, most of... And I think it's all about how the club was probably started. Is probably why. If I had to, throw a dart and guess.
Yeah, there's got to be a tie to the origin.
So whenever most beard clubs start, like how did Mad Viking start? Do you know? It's a quiz.
Well, that depends on how you want to look at it. So basically,
was it the company first and then the club, or?
So it was the company first,
and
then the club. But they almost kind of run hand in hand. Like, it wasn't long after the company got kicked up that the club kind of formed.
But I think they were with the intention of probably being a part of the bearding community, being a part of events and things like that.
Yeah.
Beard and Loathing, probably the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we go to these beard competitions. Oh, you live in Richmond? Cool. Like, let's hang out and start a club. You know what I mean? So when not to give you a history lesson, but please. Like BV, when it was started, it was originally just a beard page on Instagram. Right. So like the president Von Knox was just posting pictures of like beard people and things like that because he wanted to build his brand, Bearded Villains and things like that. So it's kind of probably similar to Mad Viking of being like,
similar to
maybe we actually have something here, but I think it's spiraled so big that at first they didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
I think a lot of it was just because even talking to some of the guys, the original guys, so we still have one original Bearded Villains Kentucky member in our chapter.
Oh, okay.
From the inception of, so that's why a lot of your chapters, your original ones will be like Bearded Villains Ohio, Bearded Villains Kentucky, Bearded Villains Indiana, are all like that because those are your original chapters. So, and as they moved on, people realized, oh, we don't have to use that exact terminology, so now you've got like Richmond Villains, Slugger City Bearded Villains, you've got Chattanooga Bearded Villains, Smoky Mountain, it's not just like the original one was Bearded Villains Tennessee.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they... you
guys have sub-chapters.
Yeah, and well, then they start to break off to where their own entity because you need at least like 10 to start a chapter.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why as BV, we've never had success in like the Paducah area. Right. We've had people reach out, but I'm like, dude, you have to become a member first, and then you have to have 10 down there. So you either start traveling to Louisville and hanging out with everybody for a while to become a patch member, and then but nobody's gonna that's a pain in the ass.
That's a long trip, especially from Paducah. That's like at 5 hours.
And we've had that before, and it's So going back to, I think is one of those things where like some of the, like one of our original members kind of talked to me about how before you would just post a couple beard pictures and then they would just send you a patch like, hey, you're a member. You
Right.
know what I mean? So they didn't really have even limits on length or anything like that. You just had to be bearded and,
Right.
you know, and so I think it was mainly just an internet thing. And then when it started to spin out and they're like, oh, you're a member and stuff. So I think that's kind of why it was like, it was so closed off, was because it really wasn't a part of the bearding communities per se, because he's not making beard products. He's just making shirts that say bearded villains.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, if I've got a product, a Mad Viking product, I'm going to an event because I want you to buy my stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then it's like, oh, we have a club. Hey, come to these bearding events, you know, or like, and then they're getting out there, you know. So I think the T-shirt thing's kind of pulls it away from.
And I will say the logo and the designs of the shirts and stuff like that. I love the design.
Yeah.
I love the look. That was one of the first things that I saw about the villains that, you know, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's really kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah, and I mean, they sell out every time. So, like, one thing that I'm always kind of big on, like, have I bought stuff from the merch site? Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
you know, because it's my club. But I'm bigger on supporting the individual chapters because each chapter has their own logo. Each chapter
Right.
has, like, their merch that they're selling, especially now that almost all of them are nonprofits. You
Right.
know what I mean? So, I want to be able to support their stuff, too.
so I think it's safe to say that the club aspect outgrew the company.
Oh, yeah.
Like
definitely.
it became it not taking anything away
We have
from
to,
the company,
no,
but
you
like
have to keep them separate.
But
Yeah.
but like same with Mad Viking is, you know, the club has the club side of it, in my opinion, has become almost a bigger entity.
Yeah.
Especially in our community.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, BV is a big entity
Yeah.
in the community. Same with Mad Viking.
Yeah.
Same with all the clubs.
Yeah.
You know, Beard Mob kind of started the same way. Just they had a Facebook page.
Yeah.
I actually had one of the OGs
Oh,
from
nice.
Beard Mob booth Fontenot on the show a couple weeks back, and we were talking about the startup of Beard Mob, and look how massive
Yeah.
they've become.
Yeah.
You know,
And I think that's really how it is for BV, like, because it's like these little chapters grew, and then it's like, hey, we're going to have an event, and then the only people that really knew about it was like in the BV world.
right?
And so what happens is you all follow each other based on hashtags because we're big on hashtags.
Yeah.
And we're following all each other, and then it's like we're not really advertising it out this way. Now, I will say, like in recent years,
Yeah.
it's gotten better. I think it's.
You guys had a lot of growth in the last couple of years.
Yeah,
You know, not like member wise, but like organization wise.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
you know,
we've gotten like. It's like almost mandatory if you want to sell stuff, you have to be nonprofit. We have the
Right.
board, we have like a captain's committee. I mean, everything is
Don't
very,
you have
very
like the
structured.
Villanettes now too?
Well, they're not a part of BV.
They're not.
So they're
Okay.
just a support group.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
So-
like now officially there's Bearded Villains Queens.
Okay.
So the Queens were started by BK's wife.
Okay.
So I mean you can get their stuff on the merch site too. But that's
So-
normal like wives and girlfriends. can
Yeah,
do
yeah,
things
no, and that's
stuff.
fine. It's like I know that there was always kind of like, it's kind of like the Freemasons,
Yeah.
where there's, you know, like there's the club,
Yeah,
and there's
Eastern
the
Star,
auxiliary,
whatever, yeah. Yeah.
So,
But Villainettes are kind of like their own thing, but I think I don't know this for sure, but I've known some Villainettes. I've got multiple that are really good friends of mine, but they're kind of like they thought. I think the Queen name was kind of hokey, so they're like we're a little more badass than that, so we're going to be Villainettes. You know what I mean? So I just feel like because that's more like you don't necessarily have to be like. I feel like with the Bearded Villains Queen, you feel like you have to be like a wife or a girlfriend of somebody.
I get
So
you.
they kinda- I
this
think-
is a solo type.
Yeah, and they're not affiliated with BV, but and that's another one where there's some BV clubs that are like, stay away from me, Satan. Like they don't want anything to do with Villainettes. If they want to support my chapter and come out and help us raise money, then
Right.
I mean, I've had some great help from Villainettes that were.
Didn't
like,
you have some at the event that you guys?
Oh, I guarantee it. Yeah.
Well,
We almost always have them because there's some clubs that are not or some chapters that don't welcome them, and I think by now I'm all about everybody.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here. That's why I think it's important to build because we're all here for the same thing. We want the brotherhood. We want to help our communities, and the bearding community as a whole is bigger than just Mad Viking, bigger than BV,
and that's kind of where the whole basis of my show, the Bearding Without Borders, and that can be, people ask me. I have a lot of people ask me like, what do you mean by without borders? And the term refers to a lot of different things. It doesn't. It could be. You could look at it from like it's bearding past just what I do in Kentucky, but
more
for
on
me,
a personal level, even
Yeah, but for me, it's more about moving away from titles.
Yeah.
Like I talk about it. I talk about it on the show. I am a member of Mad Viking. I'm the vice president of Mad Viking Beard and Mustache Club in Kentucky, but the show is about the community, and this is my way of giving back to the community. And so I don't care what club or chapter you're with. I'm here talking about you. Exactly.
It's not rocket science.
It's not. And that's one of the things I really wanted to kind of strive forward is to build a better relationship with our community and bridge gaps.
Yeah,
like where some villain chapters and some other clubs in the community may not always get along. No. Let's find a way to kind of work together. Like at the end of the day, the point of what we do in our community is to raise money for our local community, for the charities, and to have some fun and just enjoy each other's company, and of course grow facial hair.
Ding. Now I will say there are some chapters of BV that are still kind of like closed off, but I think it's where everybody was closed off for so long that
it's hard to brand.
I fear that sometimes other clubs feel like they may not be welcome to our events. You know what I mean? Which is, I can only speak for Kentucky and probably Smoky Mountain and Chattanooga and Southern Indiana, because I've been to all those events multiple times, and they welcome. So, like, if you see a BV event, go. Like, you will be welcome. Tennessee, same way. They have multiple different groups that show up that support, and most of your BV chapters, I would say 99.9% of them are going to welcome you at our events. So don't be scared. We're just there raising money. We're not better than you. I think that's the unfortunate thing is when you close off like that and you become like a recluse. Like it almost gives off the feel that you're better than other people, and that's definitely not factual. We're our own little cult, but join us. No.
But I mean, and there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing really wrong with that. But I would love to see the community come more together. Like your next event, I will definitely be there.
And likewise.
And I'm not gonna lie, and like we'll even just kind of tease this right now, if you're okay.
Go.
We're talking about forming. We're talking about forming something up, guys. I will give you more details on that as clubs vote and we make sure to get this all set. But there's some cool things that are going to come out of this.
It'd be cool if the state of Kentucky was kind of the forerunners for this type of thing.
I'm going to actually give that one to Indiana. Beard Mob, Indiana.
No, Indiana.
Beard Mob, Indiana, Mr. Ron Rice. If you've not had a conversation with Old Red, you should. That man is all about the community, and the love that he has for what we do is absolutely knows no bounds. So we're going to start wrapping up here soon. I wanted to go in, so like from talking about big events, and I know that Smoky Mountain has the event they do every year in Gatlinburg. Mm-hmm. Mad Viking has Monsters Ball.
Yeah. Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah. Well, so that's going to change. They're actually talking about having it travel a little bit.
That'd be nice.
So they haven't released where the next location is going to be.
Now, do a lot of other clubs go to that?
So we have several. Like Centers come out quite a bit. Like, so I was at Monsters Ball this past year. Mm-hmm. And this was my first Monsters Ball.
I've always wanted to go. It always sounds
so much fun.
Plus, I see the skate decks, and I'm always jealous. I know I saw that.
Mine is at home
when I leave.
No, I'll drop kick.
Yeah, I'll probably fall through the floor.
So will I. But it's such a good time. Like we had the center show up. Honest Amish came out and hung out with us. They actually picked up a sponsorship spot. Who else was there? There was several different clubs that came in. Beard Mob was there. We actually had Michael Wallage, two-time world chops champion.
Yeah.
He's a sponsored member of Mad Viking, but he is also he's a Central Beardsman out of the UK. Murder City was there, of course. Yeah. We had quite a few that showed up. I think we had several RVA villains come in.
Yeah.
So like it's a big affair, and a lot of people get to have a lot of fun with it, and it's always a good time, like to kind of just come in and BS. Like if you saw from the intro video, the new intro video, or I'd say "Live by the Axe." Yeah, that was actually at Monsters.
Oh, nice.
Die by the Axe. I love this. I love the catchphrase, but. So it's always a good time. But and then of course, like Beard Mob has Mob Fest, and that goes down in Louisiana. If you guys haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. Beard Mob just put it up. Mob Fest 6, 2nd through the 5th of March, and I will at least be there one day out of that trip to come and celebrate Mob Fest with our Beard Mob family.
Or if you don't, there's Nash Vegas going on that same weekend.
Is it the same weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always the first weekend of March.
So
that's a 3-star villains.
Yeah.
Basically, Tennessee. They put that on.
I was going to get to that because I knew Nash Vegas was coming.
Yeah.
So if you guys can't make it to Mob Fest,
there you go.
Definitely try to make it out to Nash Vegas. But is there a big event for the villains each year? Like,
we have a world meet every year.
Okay.
This year's world meet's actually in Belgium. So it's literally a world meet.
So you need a passport. So.
Yes. They canceled the last two. The last world meet was in Chicago. And then a few years before that, they canceled them because of COVID. The one before that was actually out in LA, and I went to that one.
Oh, okay.
And it was super cool. It was awesome. Because, I mean, dudes from all over.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's normally, there's one of those but that's really the only, like, BV sponsored, Bearded Villains as a whole sponsored one.
Right.
Most of the time it's just clubs putting on things within their. Now there's some like super meets, where like Nash Vegas, where you get like at least 8 to 9, 12 different chapters that show up with 3 or 4 people each, that show up. And
I will say that's something I've always admired from the Villains of the Mob is like when you guys do an event, like chapters from all over show up.
Yeah. Yeah. And that always blows me away too, because I've got the opportunity to MC some of those events, like even Nash Vegas. I've MC'd that several times, and just talking to people that are coming up on stage, and dudes drove like 17 hours,
right?
And I'm like, damn, like I don't even want to drive. I was upset. I drove 3, to get here. I'm like, I'm tired.
In case you don't know, Jeremiah's an old man. He doesn't like to drive.
I'm in my 40s. I'm 41.
Yeah,
my back hurts.
So, with that though, man, like, and to kind of expand past just what you do with the villains in the community, you have several, like you mentioned in the show, you mentioned earlier in the shows, you have several different.
That's probably why my back hurts.
Probably. I mean, you got your own clothing brand.
Yeah. Yes.
You do the screen printing on the side. You got a music group that you guys are working on. So tell us about your clothing brand.
Okay, so I've got a clothing brand called Blood Witch Unlimited.
Yep.
You can go to bloodwitchunlimited.com. There's true crime stuff on there. There's some occult looking stuff, and I've also worked with some bands, and we'll release like limited edition T-shirts on there. Actually, I'm getting ready to release a T-shirt for my band on there. So,
okay.
So that'll be up for sale soon. But if you're into true crime and kind of darker aesthetic type things, the macabre, if you will, I've got things like a bumper sticker with Ted Bundy's face that says "My other ride's a Volkswagen," stuff like that. I've got like a Charles Manson T-shirt that says "Family First." But I've also got things like Like I just released a Wolfman, like the original Wolfman.
Yeah, I
Like,
saw that on the
the black and
Instagram.
white Universal Monsters one is just a image of his face, So I've got like another like Frankenstein's monster, Son of Man, So I mean, it's those type of things, but it's bloodwitchunlimited.com. So that's been fun to do because I mean, if I'm printing, I get to print up stuff that I'd want to wear anyway. So
You got to check out the Oddities Expo that's coming up in February.
it's already on my calendar.
Oh, so you guys are you and your girlfriend, or just you going up?
I'm not sure yet because she's in law school, so she has like zero time to do anything.
Well, if not, I mean, like we can hook up because me and Haley.
You talking about the Cincinnati one?
No, we're going to the one in Louisville.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There is one in Louisville.
Yeah, February 4th.
Yeah, I've got it on the calendar. I wrote both of them down. I think it was one in Columbus.
We went to that one last year and it was a great time.
Yeah. No, it's definitely on the calendar. Let me know.
Yeah, we'll keep.
It may just be me.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, if you want to carpool at that point, because like we're gonna take this will be our my kid Kai's first time going.
Oh, nice.
So they're super excited about that. And then we talk
do that. Yeah,
we talk about that. Dude, you're talking about the band.
Well, in the screen printing business, So I print shirts, flags.
Did you print this one that you're wearing?
Shit, I wish. No. No, this was a gift from the girlfriend. This is one of my favorite bands, Shelter. Yeah. So a little old school hardcore punk stuff, but
hardcore punk. It's kind of similar, like what you guys are doing. Like, So it was like I said, the name of the band is Small Steps.
Yeah.
I followed you guys earlier this morning on Spotify. I listened to it, and me and my wife were kind of talking, and I was like, it kind of reminds me of like old school, like late 80s, very early 90s, like pre-Dookie era Green Day.
Kerplunk.
Kerplunk, with more of almost like vocal line, and kind of the tone that he carries is almost like a Bowling for Soup, like early Bowling for Soup.
Well, that's
sound.
Me singing.
Is that you singing?
Yeah, I play guitar and sing. So yeah.
So I couldn't. I was like, I knew you played at least the guitar or bass, but I didn't know who was doing the vocals. But you have that more like that kind of that Bowling for Soup sound. Yeah. So it's got that pop punk feel. I actually enjoy that.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's definitely got pop punk vibes, but it's kind of funny because it's like a little bit heavier musically. It's not heavy. It's definitely punk, but like the guitars are thicker than most pop punk. Where they're kind of tinty and things like that. But
so you guys have just now kind of really started getting out.
We actually, this band started not even a year ago.
Right.
And we got these songs down, added Buddy John on guitar, and he learned the songs. And then we actually just added a Jonathan to bass. So he actually is so new, he didn't even get to play on the recording. We just recorded this the December 30th, I think is what it was. And it just dropped on all streaming platforms. So
this week.
Yeah.
So if you guys get a chance, go check out Small Steps.
Yeah.
Now this episode is not airing until the week of the 20th.
So it's been out for a few weeks.
It'll be out for a few weeks, but go check it out.
Still fresh.
Go check it out. It's definitely got an old school feel to it. I really enjoyed What's your favorite song that you've done so far?
It's probably the first song that's on the EP called 3 Button Sweater. So
that was the first one I listened to this morning.
So those that's actually, we named that after John that plays guitar because he's actually a professor of archaeology. So he would get off work and then come to practice, and he would have on like a little cardigan. So we're like, the title has nothing to do with the song. So we're like, we didn't have a song title, so we're like, he's got a 3-button sweater, So
I dig it.
Yeah.
So guys, definitely go check them out. You guys got any live shows planned?
Not right now. We're looking at a February date probably for our first live one. So
you're gonna go to the Green Lantern? Seems to be where all the punk bands.
That's definitely a good punk venue. I love that venue. It's a fun one. No big tall stage. Everybody's right there.
Yep.
Sounds pretty good. So
that's definitely a good spot for it. Like it's that's been, I think, a punk venue for decades now. It's
CD. There's stickers everywhere. I love it.
Yeah. So if you guys get a chance, please go check that out.
Thank you.
Check out Blood Witch.
Yeah, Blood Witch Unlimited. And you can also check out my screen printing business.
Yes.
Fleshandbloodprintshop.com. So
and follow him on Instagram. He posts up quite a bit and does random lives.
Yeah, I do.
But while he's printing, so mainly what you'll see is like a side profile or maybe his back most of the time.
It's side beard always. That's what I try to get it to where I can still be productive but talk. But then I have to stop and read, and then I'm like,
So go check them out. Definitely check out the merchandise. I'm gonna actually have to get some from you. So
Into the Gates on Instagram.
Yeah.
Into the Gates.
Into the Gates. All right. So once again, man,
Hey.
I thank you so much for
Appreciate
coming
you,
on.
brother.
Guys, this has been a fun episode. I can't wait for you guys to see this when it goes live, and hopefully we'll be able to get not just like we do this a little more often with the villains, and get more villains to come out so we can get different sides of the story. So I'm reaching out for BP now with the Heart of the Villain. So hopefully we'll get that.
Heart of Villain podcast. Yeah.
Heart of Villain podcast. Go check it out. Maybe we can even try to get Von Knox. I'd like to see if I can get a hold of VK at some point. Yeah.
I can't even get a hold of him.
All right, guys. But that's going to be the show tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great time. You Matter is where I will be at the weekend that this airs. So if you can get down to LaGrange, Texas for Beard Mob Texas and Honest Amish presents You Matter 2, please do so. 2 weeks after that, I will be in Tallahassee, Florida for North Florida Facial Hair Society's main event. Not going to post up any of the pictures because it looks silly with me going like that right there. So I don't have Andrew today. I'm sorry, guys, but it's definitely going to be a good time. He has. You have failed this podcast.
Andrew, you suck.
But mad love to Andrew. He's got some really cool news coming up soon that I can't wait to be able to share out. Cheers to you, sir. But just if you guys can make it out to an event, you got Nash Vegas.
Yep.
That's going to be coming up. Knox Billings, which is going to be in.
That should be in June, and then we always have our anniversary party in September.
Yep, and I will be there for that as well. So if you guys get out and get into the community and do what you can. Remember, guys, it's not about the size of your beard; it's about the size of your heart. Do what you can for your community, and always leave a legacy. Have a great night, guys.